So yeah, my name is Peter Huppertz, as Claudia introduced already, Head of IT and e-learning. So I will tell you a little bit about self-paced e-learning and what I think is good e-learning. So you won't be surprised that I'm a big fan of e-learning if I'm the head of e-learning here at the Basel Institute. So nothing new there, but you might be also a fan afterwards if I can kind of infect you with my slides here. So let's have a look at the benefits of e-learning first. It might be already known to you, but just to reiterate. So one of the big benefits that I see, you can reach a global audience. So no matter where you are, no matter what time zone, what country you're in, so self-paced e-learning allows you to learn at your place, at your time. And it's also adjusting to the learner's schedule. So if I don't have time to attend a training next week because I'm on vacation, I can still do my e-learning the week after. Or I can do it if I do like a short break from work and do 1 hour of e-learning, which fits in, and then do the rest of the course later on. So this is extremely convenient for people who have like a busy schedule, for people who are in countries where no on-site training is offered at that point of time. So big benefit here. Another benefit for us also at the Basel Institute is we reach a big audience with these courses. So on Basel LEARN, we have nearly 60,000 people who subscribed already. And the good thing is that if 100 people more do these e-learning courses, we don't have any extra costs. So it's just like you provide the courses and they are there for how many people want to attend. That's also a bit different from like on-site training, where you probably need another trainer, you need another room for more participants. So it more or less scales without any extra costs. And e-learning could be incredibly fast with like spreading new knowledge or skills. If there's a new topic coming up, it might take you some time to organize all the training, the venue, and so on. But with e-learning, you can in short time create an online course and make it available worldwide. So quite convenient in that way. Another thing that we see is sometimes it's practical that the e-learning can adjust to the learner. This depends a bit like how it's set up, but in general, if you like do a course on a topic, which you probably already have a bit of pre-knowledge, you're able to skip some parts on the e-learning. So this makes it more convenient for you. In the on-site training, everybody has the same pace, so you can't really skip or go ahead with things that you already know. And at the same time, if you have a hard time to understand a certain context, then you can do it again on the e-learning. So it might help you to get a more complex topic and understand it. Furthermore, what you can do is more individualized challenges. While you usually have like a full class in on-site training, in e-learning, and especially now with the upcoming AI solutions, you can create challenges which adapt to an extent to the learner. So what is the learner's role? What is the pre-knowledge of the learner? What is he there to learn? So you can individualize these challenges in e-learning. So all these great benefits, but what is reality? Reality is that a lot of the e-learning is actually like extremely boring. It's very far away from things that you really do in your daily life. So it's often just kind of book content taken online. So you read a bit, you maybe click here, click there, but it's not interactive in a real way. So the only interactive part is often in like clicking to the next slide, or it might allow you to do like a quiz in the end. I mean, whom of us will really do quizzes in his work life? Probably more or less no one. So it's often on a very theoretical like knowledge level, what we see, what is done in e-learning, which from my point of view is a pity in a way. So what do we try to do differently? How do we try to make e-learning worthwhile and more beneficial to the participants of it. So, Peter, what is like good e-learning? So let me explain my view of what I think is good e-learning. So what we try to do is to focus on the performance of the participants. That means we are not interested in just giving the content from a book on the screen, but it's about what skills, what behavior do we want the learner to show after he or she completed the course. So we really focus on that performance and not on putting up slides with the content from a book. Second part, it should be mainly meaningful for the learner. What we unfortunately often see that it was made easy for the creator of the e-learning. So this is kind of logical because many institutions give their e-learning needs to an external agency. The external agency is trying to make it as simple as possible to compete with other agencies, to lower down the development time and make it mostly easy to create. But often what is easy to create is very simple and not very meaningful for the learner. And if you look at what I said before, if you now reach a couple of thousand learners, imagine you saved maybe 2 hours or 4 hours or 24 hours on development time. Imagine these 1,000 users making use of the e-learning don't really learn anything, and you got all this time wasted. So from my personal perspective, it makes so much sense to put a couple of more hours in the development of meaningful and interactive e-learning to make it really worthwhile for the participant. Most of the e-learning courses we find out in the wild, like looking, for example, at video-based e-learning, it's mainly driven by attendance. So you need to watch that video from minute 1 to minute 5, and then you're expected to understand the topic, or you're expected to maybe use the software. Maybe you learn about open source intelligence, and then you're asked, okay, let's do that open source intelligence research on an individual or an organization. But this is unfortunately not how learning works. Learning doesn't work by watching someone doing it. It doesn't work by just absorbing the knowledge that you see. It's mainly by engagement. So what you need to do is to really be exposed to what you need to do in real life. If you're doing an OSINT research, you need to go out, you need to use Google, you need to use like social networks to find information. You need to try different databases to find information about a subject. So it's not just understanding, okay, what is there, but to really do it. So with our e-learning, we really try to go along a practical exercise, a case scenario where the user or the participant of the training really does every step by themselves. Sometimes the context is extremely theoretical. So the learner would need to bridge the gap between the knowledge that he got presented and the real usage of that knowledge. So as I said before, we try to set up like a very close to reality case. In our most of our e-learnings, it's like a corruption, bribery case, and the participant of the training is really asked to investigate and get an authentic context of the training here. So during the training, you have like different decisions, what kind of like way you go. And this is important because in real life, it's not always working in the way how you expected it, but often you need to do decisions. So we ask the user, the participant of the training, really to come up with a decision how to continue to investigate the case. So also here, AI probably in the future can help, because like every decision you need to create in e-learning will take extra time to create that decision and to continue with the e-learning on that decision. What we also partly do is that we try to have more individualized challenges. Again, I think AI will be a game changer here. So for now, it's mainly like set up like different sessions in an e-learning course, and then you can decide, okay, what are the sessions I'm interested in? What are sessions that I already know? The same if you do like a session that you already know, you might skip quickly through the different elements, while when it's like new knowledge for you, you might do the session twice because you need to really understand the content and the skills and behaviors of that session. Something we also want to introduce in the future, and which I think is extremely beneficial, is like spaced practice. So how mostly e-learning is delivered is you have like one intervention where that e-learning is set up, and after that this is done, and this was it for the learner. However, what helps to learner to remember the content of the e-learning and to practice the skills and behaviors on an ongoing basis is to get like reminders and other chances to practice the knowledge again. So in the end, it would be great if like a participant who finished an e-learning will get a reminder a couple of weeks later to probably try again some of the elements, to probably inform him about like new elements. So this is what spaced practice means and what can make e-learning very beneficial. And finally, you train for the real world. So we want real world consequences. So again, the idea is like with the training based on a case, that this resembles the real world. So you get feedback what happens next if you investigate that case. And you will also get feedback if you don't investigate a certain part. So it should be not just like feedback on a quiz, right, wrong, and maybe one sentence, but it should show the outcomes in real world. So this is what it means with real world consequences. So overall, these 8 parts here, we try to integrate in the e-learning that we create as a Basel Institute, and hope that this really helps the learner to understand the topics we talk about, to use the skills, to use the behaviors that we show in these e-learning courses. Yeah, a lot of theory again, but let's have a look maybe at one of the courses. So maybe I'll show you like a quick overview how like these e-learning courses look on Basel LEARN. Talk a bit about Basel LEARN later on. So here you see the course operational analysis. So you see here the different learning sessions that we offer. And then it also got a bit more elements here, like a certificate of completion and more resources. If I open one of these sessions here, international open sources, for example, I see this learning interaction here. And now I'm in the middle of a corruption case. So we have a couple of like individuals and organizations which are subject of our investigation. So if you start the e-learning from the beginning, you get all introduced to that case and to the world where it takes place. And here's like the session on international open sources, like one of them. So I see that I already did some investigation here in the previous sessions. And now we continue here to investigate an organization, which is Tulips United. So it's an organization which supposedly is like a floral wholesale in the Netherlands, and we want to check like the address, the further details, and their involvement in the case. So here you see like the interactive part. So we don't explain, okay, now we do this and that, but in the beginning of the course, they already learned how to use like advanced searches, and they also now really start as a learner to search for information. So I look at this here. So we investigate some of the websites here, clicking here. So I get like the information of the website. It's all in Dutch. So my Dutch is extremely limited. And so first skill we learn here, what can I do to understand this website? So we get to know Google Translate, and we see how we can use Google Translate to translate this website. Again, it's not just telling you how to do it, so it's really the idea to do it yourself and learn while doing it. So it shows the website, and then it shows also here some information about what we find. So highlight some of the elements here. And so you can have a look through the website and have a look at the different elements that we see and collect information. So what you find here was an address. And now we continue with another tool. So Google Maps, we look at the address and find out where the address is. And in the end, participants will see, okay, that address exists, but the company itself doesn't exist. And then we find another address where we see it's actually a company which offers to set up shell companies. So this is how they continue investigating the case. So it's a real challenge, a real case that they investigate. And all of the sessions in the courses that we offer follow a similar pattern of like investigation. So a very brief look at this. Now I want to use a couple of minutes to explain some of the experiences and also the lessons learned we had at the Basel Institute with e-learning. So you already saw in action our e-learning platform. So it's called Basel LEARN. You can reach it on learn.baselgovernance.org. And we actually use it for multiple purposes. So one is the e-learning courses that you saw. Then we also use it for online training. We added some learning resources, which are like more books or like short articles on specific topics. And also we use it for on-site training, what we will see later, and we will discuss with Thierry too. So this is Basel LEARN actually. The courses we have are mainly geared towards law enforcement and intelligence agencies. So we also have like a lot of like private sector companies taking the courses, but our main focus as the Basel Institute on Governance is to provide law enforcement with knowledge. So just very quickly, our current courses are data cleaning and harvesting. We have one on collective action against corruption. We have a very popular course in open source intelligence, one on international cooperation and mutual legal assistance, operational analysis of suspicious transaction reports, a course on financial analysis using Excel, a course on how to use like free software to visualize cases and flows of money, a course on source and application of funds, and finally a course on combating terrorism financing. So on Basel LEARN, you find all these courses for free to be accessed once you registered. All in all, I think we got quite a success story. So we started beginning 2021. It was a bit of a coincidence actually with like COVID at that time. So we didn't really implement it because of COVID, but we had the plans before. Luckily, it helped us to also get past that time. So with providing online learning, e-learning, and so on. So these days we are about to reach like 60,000 users of the learning platform, and we have a very widespread audience from all kind of countries, all kind of different backgrounds and workplaces. On the whole platform. So that was a quantity, and we are also kind of proud of like the feedback that we mainly get for the courses. So about the quality. There's a bit of a long feedback here, so I don't expect you to read it all, but it depicts very nicely the experience that I was also telling you before. If you engage into e-learning, you're kind of primed, okay, now I have like a 2-hour video-based learning experience, and try to keep myself awake with like drinking maybe coffee, tea, whatever you like, and yeah, trying to follow the content. And that user here, she shared it on LinkedIn. She's really writing that she was very much invested into taking the whole course, that she was really got by the investigation of the suspect on the open source intelligence course, and that she learned along the way. So I think this is a wonderful feedback, and we get many similar ones on LinkedIn or directly via email or on the feedback form. So we are pretty sure we are on a good way how we present our e-learning and how we build it. How can you use Basel Learn? So first easy part would be you can just use it yourself. You can share the link to learnbaselgovernance.org in your organization, with your colleagues, with everyone you think might be interested. So everybody who takes the course will, if they finish all sessions, get a certificate of completion, and you can share that. You can give it to like a supervisor. You can use it for future applications on jobs. So everybody gets that certificate automatically. So if you are like someone working in an organization and you're responsible for like professional development of your staff members. So what we saw in the past is that many counterparts, many law enforcement agencies made some or all of these courses mandatory part of their professional education. So this is different ways how this can be done. You can just make use of the certificate function that staff members provides a certificate for you. It's also possible to get access to our data to see which of the users of your organization has finished a course. The next step, which we also sometimes have, is that organizations request to integrate these courses in their own learning management systems. So what we can do is to provide these courses to be integrated. So the only thing that we usually ask in return is that we get like the usage data from your organization, so we can include it in our reporting. And then what we also offer and what we sometimes implement is like Basel Open Learn. This mainly happens if an organization doesn't have a learning management system yet, but they want to set up one. So what we do is kind of setting up something very similar to what we have on Basel Learn and allow them to use it. So these are ways how you can make use of Basel Learn. One final thing before I hand over then to Thierry and for the on-site training part. What you saw, the learning platform is developed on the basis of an open source software, which is called Moodle. So why do we use open source software? So maybe you know Moodle, maybe you know it from university. It's worldwide, it's used a lot. So what are the specific benefits for the Basel Institute to make use of Moodle? So Moodle is open source, so we don't need to pay for license fees. And this was very important for us because we want as many people as possible to take our courses. So with other platforms where you pay per user, you might like to offer it, but you're always a bit worried, okay, if now 1,000 more people sign up, this means my bill goes up 6,000 per month. And as a non-profit organization, we don't want to spend a huge amount of our funding on license fees. So this was one very obvious benefits for us to use an open source learning environment. Another reason was that Moodle is around, I think, since 1999, so a really, really long history for an IT software, and community support is just very, very good. So there's a lot of resources out there. It's a proven system. It might be not like the most user-friendly in all things, but there are so many ways how you can use it that you can come up with a very decent solution there. We deal a lot with like law enforcement, and law enforcement is very cautious about sharing data, sharing personal data of their staff members. So as soon as you use like a commercial provider, it's clear that your data is usually hosted with that provider. So they will take precautions not to share the data outside, but as you probably see, it happens quite regularly that maybe one of these get hacked and all this data is leaked, or they need to provide data for whatever reason. So with Moodle on our own installation, we have the full ownership of the data, and we don't share it with any third party there. Another part which was extremely important for us is that it's fully customizable. With a lot of commercial solutions, you find you can probably upload your logo, you can upload your font and your corporate identity colors, but that's mostly the extent of customization you do or you can do. With Moodle, we have the full set, and that was one of the reasons why we can also come up with like extensions of the system, which is really tailored to how we do training. So we will see some of these later on. So we do a lot of localization of our on-site training, which we also do using the Basel LEARN platform. And this localization, you need to change a lot of documents. This is a lot of work if it needs to be done manually. With Moodle, we were able to create a tool, a localization tool, which allows us to easily amend documents to like different countries, and a huge benefit for us. So in our on-site training, we often work in groups, while Moodle has like a password function where you can make elements available to participants when they input a password. This is not like usable for groups, but all our on-site training, we work in small groups. So it's a huge benefit for them to unlock documents for a whole group. We want to make our training, the on-site training, very realistic. So we created a kind of like databases they can search. Again, this is like a tailored extension of Moodle that we created. So these kind of fake databases. Another part is an investigator's dashboard where they can see the different pieces of evidence they unlock through the training and can then add comments to it. And finally, or just to name a couple of them, we also integrated now an AI witness interview. So it's a special need for our on-site training to make it more interesting, to make it more beneficial. And we were able to do this because we have the full control of our environment. We can develop these extensions and install them as we like. So yeah, I think that was long enough. And I think it would be good if maybe Thierry now tells us a bit about on-site training and how we make use of Basel LEARN in the on-site training.